Missouri, at the very heart of North America, is often thought today as a land of rivers, forests, and prairies. But beneath its soil lies a hidden world, one filled with mysteries that leave scientists uneasy even now. While most Americans think of ancient civilizations in terms of Egypt, Mesopotamia, or even the Mayan pyramids, Missouri harbors enigmas that suggest something equally astonishing once thrived in its valleys and caves. These mysteries are not merely legends whispered in the dark. They are real discoveries, bones, carvings, mounds, and artifacts, things dug up from the earth that defy easy explanation. The first settlers and explorers of the region noticed oddities that didn't seem to belong. Strange stone carvings, buried artifacts, and enormous earth mounds hinted at cultures that predated recorded Native American history. Archaeologists later confirmed that the people we now call the Mississippians built huge mound complexes across the Midwest. But in Missouri, certain discoveries refused to fit neatly into that box. Some seemed older, stranger, and eerier than what Mississippian culture alone could explain. Why does Missouri, more than many other states, have this aura of buried secrets? Part of it comes from its geography. The Mississippi and Missouri rivers formed massive highways for ancient peoples, linking them to trade networks that reached from the Gulf of Mexico to the Great Lakes. Any culture passing through left fragments behind. Another reason is the abundance of caves and underground systems. These natural shelters preserve bones, tools, and even unusual stone carvings, many of which look shockingly out of place for the region. Local native tribes passed down oral traditions that spoke of giants, monsters, and strange sky beings that once roamed these lands. Later settlers, stumbling across skeletal remains far larger than any ordinary human, began to connect these myths with their discoveries. Scientists, however, have struggled to explain many of these finds. Some artifacts have been lost or conveniently hidden away in museum archives. Others remain unsolved anomalies, sparking debates that continue to this day. The unsettling part is not just the existence of these mysteries, but how they seem to mock modern science. For every theory proposed, a new find appears that contradicts it. Scholars attempt to rationalize the discoveries, but eyewitness reports and preserved records paint a different picture, one of forgotten past that might not have been as primitive as we assume. Missouri, often overlooked in America's ancient history, begins to look like the epicenter of secrets that could rewrite the human story. This journey will take us through bones of supposed giants, petroglyphs that depict beings from the sky, mounds that align with celestial events, and caves holding chilling artifacts. What emerges is not a neat history lesson, but a series of terrifying puzzles. Each one whispers a warning. Our understanding of the past may be far less complete than we believe. And Missouri, quiet, rural, and unassuming, may hold the most disturbing truths of all. In the mid-1800s, farmers digging in Missouri's fertile soils began uncovering skeletal remains unlike anything they had ever seen. Some bones were so large that the men who found them swore they belonged to a race of giants. Newspapers from St. Louis to rural Missouri reported these shocking discoveries, describing skeletons that measured anywhere from 7 to 10 feet tall. These reports were not confined to one isolated incident. They repeated across counties, creating a chilling pattern. The most infamous cases came from burial mounds. Missouri, like much of the Midwest, is dotted with earthen mounds left by prehistoric peoples. While archaeologists usually identify these with the Mississippian culture, the skeletons inside sometimes did not match expected sizes. Farmers in Warren and St. Charles counties claimed to have uncovered skulls so large they could fit over a man's head like a helmet. Some even reported double rows of teeth, a disturbing feature that later legends latched onto as proof of an ancient race lost to time. Skeptics argue these stories are exaggerated, the product of overactive imaginations or poor measurement techniques. But early reports often included doctors, local officials, and even university professors as witnesses. The unsettling truth is that many of these bones vanished soon after being reported. Some were supposedly collected by the Smithsonian Institution, only to disappear into storage, never to be displayed. This has fueled long-standing suspicions of a cover-up, a deliberate attempt to erase evidence that didn't fit accepted history. Why would skeletons of giants terrify scientists? Because they raise questions that cut to the foundation of archaeology and anthropology. If a race of oversized humans once roamed Missouri, It suggests an entire chapter of history has been erased. It challenges evolutionary timelines and suggests native legends of ancient battles with giant beings were not myths, but distant memories of real encounters. For native tribes like the Osage, stories of giant beings known as the Old Ones were part of cultural memory. These beings were described as fierce, strong, and often hostile, living long before the tribes that later settled Missouri. When settlers uncovered the bones of massive humans, the legend suddenly gained unsettling credibility. To this day, farmers and amateur diggers occasionally report stumbling upon unusual skeletal fragments in Missouri soil. While mainstream science dismisses the notion of a race of giants, the consistency of the reports and the mysterious disappearance of evidence keep the story alive. Whether exaggerated, misinterpreted, or deliberately hidden, the giant skeletons of Missouri remain one of the most disturbing mysteries in America's heartland. For every explanation offered, a new question emerges. Who were these towering people? Where did they come from? And why does it seem that someone, somewhere, is determined to keep their story buried? Missouri's landscape is riddled with caves, some so deep they have never been fully mapped. Within these dark caverns, explorers have uncovered petroglyphs, ancient rock carvings that defy explanation. Unlike the recognizable symbols attributed to native cultures, some carvings depict bizarre figures with elongated heads, strange eyes, and what appear to be objects descending from the sky. One of the most unsettling examples comes from caves along the Merrimack River. Early spelunkers in the 19th century reported symbols resembling stars, constellations, and humanoid beings with wings or helmets. These carvings looked out of place for the known traditions of Missouri's ancient peoples. Archaeologists have debated whether these could be attempts at shamanic visions, artistic interpretations, or something far more extraordinary. A recurring image in several cave sites is that of tall, robed figures with circular objects above their heads. Some researchers see halos or spiritual symbols, but others note their eerie resemblance to depictions of space helmets. In a cave near Washington County, symbols resembling what modern eyes would call rockets are etched alongside animals and abstract shapes. Could ancient Missouri tribes have witnessed something they tried to capture in stone? Skeptics claim these symbols are misinterpretations, with modern imagination projecting sci-fi ideas onto ancient art. Yet, native oral traditions complicate this dismissal. Stories of sky people visiting Earth are common across many tribes, including those of Missouri. The Osage spoke of beings descending from the heavens to teach humanity knowledge. Combined with the cave art, these traditions become difficult to ignore. Even stranger is the astronomical precision encoded in some carvings. Certain caves contain markings that align with solstices and equinoxes, acting as primitive star maps. How did these ancient people track celestial events so accurately? For cultures labeled as primitive, such knowledge should have been out of reach. For scientists, the terror lies not in the carvings themselves, but in their implications. If ancient Missourians were recording visitors from the sky or mapping stars with precision, then human history in this region is older and stranger than textbooks suggest. And unlike artifacts that can be dismissed as hoaxes, these carvings are etched into stone, undeniable and enduring. The caves, silent and damp, still guard their secrets. Many remain unexplored, their depths hiding more symbols that may never see the light of day. Each discovery forces researchers to reconsider. Were these merely the product of imagination, or was Missouri once a stage for encounters that defy scientific explanation? The unsettling answer may be carved into the rock itself, waiting for those brave enough to descend into the dark. Beneath Missouri's rolling hills and farmland lies a world of legend, whispers of ancient underground cities. From the early 19th century onward, stories emerge of explorers stumbling into vast caverns that seem more like man-made constructions than natural caves. Some spoke of chambers with stone walls, long corridors, and even staircases carved directly into the rock. These weren't the work of settlers or native tribes known from history. They seemed far older. One of the most famous accounts comes from the region near Carthage, Missouri, where miners reportedly unearthed strange stone structures deep beneath the ground. According to their stories, these ruins contain massive stone blocks, inscriptions, and even skeletal remains not resembling ordinary humans. Locals began whispering about a forgotten civilization buried far below. Some said the structures were evidence of the giants once rumored to inhabit the land. Others suggested they were remnants of a lost race entirely unknown to history. Officially, no record of these underground cities has been confirmed. Skeptics insist miners misinterpreted natural cave formations, seeing walls where there were only jagged rock faces. Yet too many consistent accounts emerged from too many different areas for it to be easily dismissed. In the 1880s, newspapers reported a discovery near Moberly, Missouri, where workers digging a coal shaft claimed they had broken into a vast cavern system containing stone benches, carvings, and the remains of giants. Although dismissed by academics, the story captured the public imagination and still lingers in local folklore. If true, these buried cities pose terrifying questions. Who built them? Why underground? And why did they vanish so completely? Some theorists suggest that flooding along the Mississippi forced ancient peoples to retreat underground. Others lean toward more speculative explanations. Forgotten civilizations wiped out by catastrophe, or even remnants of beings not of this world. For scientists, the difficulty lies in evidence. Missouri's geology is riddled with caves and sinkholes, making it easy to dismiss stories as exaggerations. But the unsettling consistency of accounts across centuries suggests something unusual lurks beneath the soil. Archaeologists admit there are likely thousands of undiscovered sites in Missouri, many hidden beneath farmland and forests never excavated. What remains locked underground may rewrite everything we know about the human past in North America. Until more is revealed, Missouri's underground city legends remain both tantalizing and disturbing. If they exist, then Missouri was once home to an advanced culture erased from memory. If they do not, then how do we explain the eerie similarities in stories told by generations of explorers, miners, and locals? Either answer unsettles the mind, leaving Missouri's hidden depths as one of the most haunting mysteries on American soil. High atop rocky bluffs and scattered across the Ozark Plateau, ancient petroglyphs, symbols carved into stone, offer another puzzle that terrifies archaeologists. Some are recognizable. Animals, hunting scenes, spirals, and sun symbols consistent with native art. But others are stranger, depicting shapes and beings that do not seem to belong. One particular site, the Washington County petroglyphs, features carvings of creatures with oddly elongated heads and large, circular eyes. Alongside them are geometric shapes resembling grids, spirals, and even what some claim look like maps of constellations. If these are indeed astronomical depictions, then whoever carved them had knowledge that mainstream history says they should not have possessed. What unsettles researchers most is the repetition of certain symbols across multiple sites. For example, the squatting man figure, a humanoid with limbs spread wide and a circular head, is found not just in Missouri, but in ancient rock art across the world from the American Southwest Australia. How could cultures separated by oceans and centuries produce the same image? Some scientists cautiously suggest natural phenomena, like auroras or plasma formations in the sky, inspired identical depictions across the globe. But for others, the similarities hint at something far more extraordinary, shared encounters with a reality we cannot explain. The petroglyphs also raise the question of communication. Did Missouri's ancient peoples attempt to record events that defied their comprehension? If so, what exactly were they witnessing? Native American oral traditions speak of beings descending from the sky and interacting with humans. Combined with the petroglyphs, these traditions appear less like myth and more like fragments of real encounters remembered through generations. Archaeologists remain cautious, wary of straying into speculation, but even they cannot deny the sophistication of some carvings. Alignments with celestial events, solstices, equinoxes, and lunar phases are too precise to be coincidental. These engravings suggest not only an awareness of the heavens, but a deliberate effort to encode that knowledge in stone. For skeptics, the terror comes from the idea of human imagination shaping such strange forms. But for believers, the fear is more profound, that these carvings are the last surviving record of a lost contact with beings beyond human comprehension. Whether spiritual, extraterrestrial, or something stranger still, the Missouri petroglyphs force us to confront the possibility that history is not what we think it is. Though Cahokia lies just across the Mississippi River in present-day Illinois, its influence spreads deeply into Missouri. Cahokia was the largest pre-Columbian city north of Mexico, a sprawling urban center with tens of thousands of inhabitants and enormous ceremonial mounds. For scientists, Cahokia is already unsettling. How did a so-called primitive culture create a city rivaling the size of medieval London? But Missouri adds another layer of terror, for it was directly linked to Cahokia's rise and collapse. Many Missouri mound sites mirror Cahokia's alignments with the sun, stars, and moon. Some smaller mounds in Missouri appear to have been satellite outposts of the Cahokian world, extending their influence westward. But the chilling part is not their existence. It's their sudden disappearance. Around 1350, Cahokia collapsed, and its people vanished from history. Archaeologists still cannot agree why. Some suggest drought, famine, or internal conflict. Others whisper about something more mysterious, an event that terrified survivors into abandoning not only Cahokia, but outposts across the region, including Missouri. Local legends speak of fire from the sky, floods, and battles with strange beings. Some believe Missouri's mysterious skeletons and carvings are remnants of this collapse, fragments of knowledge lost when Cahokia's people disappeared. The mounds in Missouri, smaller but eerily similar to Cahokia's, may be the final echoes of civilization that once ruled the heartland of America with astronomical precision and cultural power. For modern science, Cahokia alone is terrifying because it forces a reevaluation of Native American history. But when combined with Missouri's mysteries, it suggests something darker. The collapse was not just political or environmental. It may have been driven by encounters or catastrophes that left survivors too afraid to rebuild. Missouri, sitting at Cahokia's edge, still holds untold stories in its mounds, stories that may explain why one of the greatest cities in ancient America suddenly fell into silence. One of the strangest mysteries of ancient America involves copper. Artifacts from Missouri, particularly in mound sites, show evidence of copper use. But the copper itself often seems to originate from the Great Lakes, hundreds of miles away. Even more unsettling is the sheer scale of copper mining in prehistoric North America. Tens of thousands of tons of copper were extracted from mines in Michigan, yet only a fraction of it has been accounted for in discovered artifacts. Where did the rest go? Missouri's role in this mystery is chilling. Artifacts suggest Missouri was a hub in this vast trade network, a place where copper was brought, worked, and redistributed. Some objects show advanced craftsmanship, suggesting knowledge of metallurgy far beyond what archaeologists expected of these cultures. Theories range from a lost civilization controlling this trade to connections with distant lands across the ocean. Some fringe researchers even suggest that old world civilizations, like the Egyptians or Phoenicians, may have reached Missouri through trade. Mainstream science avoids such speculation, but the unanswered question remains. How did Missouri's ancient inhabitants become part of such a vast and advanced system? The terror for scientists lies in the implications. That America's prehistory is not isolated, but deeply connected to a global story we've barely begun to understand. Beyond bones and carvings, Missouri is haunted by strange phenomena still reported today. Mysterious lights appearing in rural areas, glowing orbs that dance across fields and valleys. While many modern sightings are dismissed as swamp gas or headlights, native legends from Missouri describe these lights centuries before cars existed. They were often considered spirits, omens, or the presence of powerful beings. The most famous reports come from the Ozarks, where locals claim glowing spheres emerge from caves or float above rivers. Scientists investigating natural causes often leave with more questions than answers. Some lights behave intelligently, following observers or responding to movement. The continuity between ancient legends and modern sightings terrifies researchers. Could Missouri's mystery lights be linked to the same phenomena recorded in cave carvings? If so, they may represent not superstition, but a recurring presence in Missouri's history, one science still cannot explain. Perhaps the most chilling mystery of Missouri is not what has been found, but what has been lost. Reports of giant skeletons, strange carvings, and anomalous artifacts often end with the same phrase, and then the Smithsonian took them. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, countless discoveries were supposedly collected by museums or universities, only to vanish. When researchers request access, they are told no record exists. This pattern has fueled suspicion of deliberate suppression. Some believe the artifacts challenge established timelines of human history, so institutions hide them to protect conventional narratives. Whether or not this is true, the result is the same. Missouri's most disturbing evidence has disappeared, leaving behind only stories. The terror here lies in the possibility that the truth has already been uncovered, only to be locked away, forever denied to the public. When taken individually, Missouri's ancient mysteries might be dismissed as folklore, exaggeration, or coincidence. But together they form a chilling mosaic. Giants buried in mounds, petroglyphs depicting impossible beings, underground cities whispered by miners, connections to lost civilizations, and lights that still haunt the night. For scientists, the terror is not supernatural. It is a collapse of certainty. Missouri suggests our history is incomplete, that entire civilizations or encounters have been erased from record. Perhaps that is why so many of Missouri's discoveries vanish, hidden away or dismissed. The truth may be too disruptive. Yet, the land remembers. Beneath its rivers, caves, and mounds, Missouri still holds its secrets. And until they are revealed, it remains one of the most unsettling landscapes in America, where the past refuses to stay buried, and the mysteries terrify those who dare to look too closely. If you enjoyed exploring Missouri's haunting secrets, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Comment below what the mystery you found most chilling, and join us next time as we uncover more forgotten stories the world was never meant to remember.